Information that we're getting. Editor-in-Chief Rahul Shivshankar joins us to get us more details. Quite a cowardly attack that has taken place, isn't it, once again, in the region? And could you just share more details on, what is the intel that we are gathering at this moment?
Well, Srinjoy Chowdhury has been reporting also on this story, and I think I'm going to bring in Pradeep for more on this. Pradeep, what we were being told by Srinjoy earlier, and he's filed this story, said that grenade attacks on specific targets in Jammu and Kashmir to induce killings after Eid, which is about 10 days away, and this was, of course, a few days back in time when this alert came out, were going to happen. And if you really look at that timeline, then 10 days away from the period that he was referring to is about now. So this suggests that there is some degree of intelligence that was available of such a strike. Pradeep, that's quite serious.
Yes, Rahul, you're absolutely right. There had been intelligence inputs that Pakistan was planning to escalate situation on this side of the border. They were planning to destabilize situation. Why? Reason being, as you rightly said, because the G20 meeting session is around the corner, and for the first time the G20 meeting will be held in Kashmir Valley, because holding a meeting in Kashmir Valley has got a strategic importance. One, that there is a normalcy. The second, the people from different parts of the world, they will be coming out to the place and they can see how things really change after abrogation of Article 370.
Yes.
So this is something that is not palatable to Pakistan. They cannot see normalcy.
Not palatable to Pakistan, says Pradeep. Just stay on with me, Pradeep, because I'm also bringing in Srinjoy, who filed that story about that intel alert. Srinjoy, what can you tell us? And the timeline seems to be matching, isn't it?
Yes, undoubtedly. And the other thing, Rahul, the use of grenades. The intelligence reports speak about the use of grenades of terrorists coming in from across the line of control, using grenades and, of course, other firearms, but very importantly, grenades. And that is exactly what we have seen today. As you've noticed, the intelligence report is about 5 days old. They said this would be around Eid, perhaps just after Eid. Today it is just before Eid. And the same thing.
Okay.
Targets were going to
just stay on with me. Srinjoy Chowdhury reporting this story about 4 days, viewers, so he's perhaps ahead of the curve, and so were the intelligence agencies. Let's go across to the former Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Nirmal Singh. Your reaction, Mr. Singh, to this particular episode? There was intel available. Unfortunately, it was not acted upon. It was quite specific. There was talk of use of grenades by ISI.
Okay, that our jawans they have been martyred. You know that it's a border area, and Pakistan is bent upon creating trouble here. So after they failed in Kashmir Valley to kill innocents and all that, earlier they were resorting to target killing, but we have seen that they are not able to do that and create this scare in the valley. Now they are resorting, actually this Pakistani army is resorting to this Kawadic Act, and it's a part of that. Because G20 is going to happen Jammu and Kashmir, especially in Kashmir, so definitely this Pakistan is picked up. Because when 20 countries representatives, they shall be there, it will give a message to the world over that Kashmir
more
is
reason,
fine.
Mr. Singh, all the more reason that you should have tightened security deployment, etc., especially when sensitive targets are moving. Especially troops in some sort of an armored vehicle, if they're moving, or in a truck like this, there should have been greater vigil, should there not have been?
I mean, yes, that's being done. And army, the security agencies, they take all precautions. But sometimes there is a failure. You have seen the terrain. This the Poonch, Rajouri, this border area, the terrain is, this is forest area,
Okay.
hilly area. So sometimes the enemy succeeds in his nefarious design.
Okay, let me go across to Pradeep. Pradeep, are you satisfied by the response of Mr. Nirmal Singh saying that, look, security has been beefed up, there is a high alert across the valley, including Jammu, but at the end of the day, these things can happen. The terrain allows for opportunism on the part of terror groups, etc. Pradeep.
See, if we talk about this particular, he is absolutely right. This is one of the most challenging trend because we had been here 2 years back and we had been almost camping, Rahul, for 1 month. When Operation Flush Out was conducted in that area, there are several hideouts in the dense foliage. And today also what really happened, let me tell the viewers who have joined us. It was at about 3 p.m. while this vehicle that was moving from Basoni towards the Sangyot belt. That was the time when this vehicle was ambushed. They lobbed a grenade. Because of that grenade explosion, there was a massive fire. And they fired from the multiple places. And that you can see from the multiple bullet marks also that clearly indicate that it was a group of about 3 to 4 terrorists. Now it is not clear whether this new group has crossed line of control and they had carried out attack. But yes, one thing is quite clear. They had been planning for this attack because ambush can't be laid in a jiffy because you must be planning something for that. Only then you can go for that ambush. So far as he's absolutely right. There's a lot of pressure on the terror groups because they have not succeeded. Because our security agencies have so far succeeded in culling their heads. They have not been able to raise their ugly head for quite long. So whenever there is a pressure in Kashmir Valley, they try to raise their head in Jammu region, and for quite some time that they are trying to destabilize peace, especially in this border belt of Poonch and Rajouri. We saw that on 1st of January, how they carried out attack targeting innocent unarmed civilians in Dangri village. And next day, they had planted improvised explosive device in which 4 kids lost their life. And since then, we have seen during the last 10 days, there had been 2 attempts of infiltration from the Poonch sector because now the passes have opened, snow has melted.
And
so
let's try to bring in Maroof Raza as well as Srinjoy Chowdhury on this. Bilawal Bhutto is visiting India. Now, Bilawal Bhutto is at this moment the External Affairs Minister of Pakistan. And he is visiting India for the SCO summit May 4th and 5th, viewers. The question then arises, is India in a position now to roll out the red carpet for him? Will that particular visit by Bilawal Bhutto, obviously under the cloud of this terror attack and perhaps even more, God forbid, can it be business as normal? That's the fundamental question that will now, of course, come up. Srinjoy, if you can take that, if you're there with me, of course, the MEA was asked this question and the spokesperson of the MEA said that, look, this was a larger multilateral fora. And that is the reason why this particular individual was coming across. Srinjoy. Okay, we don't have Srinjoy. Viewers, so, look, there's a lot happening in the valley right now. And it would assume that these kind of incidents would be triggered by terrorists desperate to try and prove a point. And what is the point that they want to prove, viewers? The point that they want to prove fundamentally is this, that India is not in control of Jammu and Kashmir. And Pradeep has been telling us this. And I want to go across to Srinjoy. Srinjoy, Bilawal Bhutto on his way on the 4th and 5th of May for the SCO. That's going to be a fraught visit now, isn't it, after this? And perhaps, God forbid, any more such incidents?
Yes, this could well happen. There could well be more incidents because the intelligence reports are very clear, Rahul.
Yeah.
They have been saying 2 things. One, there will be grenade attacks. And the second thing, the targets have been outlined. Number 1, security forces. Number 2, people from outside Jammu and Kashmir working in Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory. 3, political figures. So the targets are there, the weapons are there, the terrorists are there. Everything points to what? Pakistani hand, people from across the line of control. They have armed, trained, and pushed these men, these terrorists across the line of control. And what has happened today, what you see today is a result of weeks and months of training in all these terror training camps, then days spent in the launch pads, and then these people find an opening and go through.
Well, there are responses and reactions coming in. Jammu and Kashmir LG office has said, I'm deeply deeply anguished by the loss of lives of brave army personnel in a tragic incident at Poonch. Their rich service to the nation will never be forgotten. My thoughts are with the bereaved families. There is, of course, another update that the army chief has apprised the defense minister on the Poonch incident. Srinjoy breaking that. Now, that happened a little earlier. And we have a statement attributable to, of course, the headquarters of the Northern Command. And let me very quickly, viewers, take you through that. Today at approximately 1500 hours, which is 3 p.m. in the afternoon, one army vehicle moving between Bhimber Gali and Poonch in the Rajouri sector was fired upon by unidentified terrorists. Taking advantage of heavy rains and low visibility in the area, the vehicle caught fire due to likely use of grenades by terrorists. This is exactly what Srinjoy Chowdhury was saying. He had broken this story 3 days ago and had reported the fact that there would be terror attacks using grenades around Eid, but perhaps just after. Well, this particular attack has taken place on the eve of Eid, viewers. 5 personnel of the Rashtriya Rifle Unit deployed for counter-terrorist operations. Supreme irony there. In this area have been martyred. Another seriously injured soldier was evacuated immediately to the army hospital at the Rajouri and is under treatment. Operations are in progress to locate the perpetrators. Further details are being ascertained. Now, all of this, viewers, is being put out by the headquarters, Northern Command, which is, of course, the direct jurisdiction of this particular area. This has happened, of course, in Jammu, viewers. We're going to try and build on this story, but I just want to go back to both Srinjoy and Pradeep. Pradeep, the movement was taking place. There was rain. The terrain is also such that it accords opportunities to terrorists. Any idea who could be behind this?
See, so far, one of the terror organization, PAFF, has claimed responsibility for this attack. PAFF, everybody knows, is basically an offshoot of Jaish-e-Mohammed. And they're deliberately using this name because they want to prove world that this is an indigenous terror movement going on in Kashmir Valley, and Pakistan and Pak proxies have nothing to do with that. But one thing is quite clear. The PAFF, if they have carried out attack, by PAFF means Jaish-e-Mohammed. Because in this area, there are 2-3 organizations that are said to be active. One is Lashkar-e-Toiba and another is Jaish-e-Mohammed. They have got the capacity and capability to carry out such attacks, as Srinjoy rightly said, because this is a shoot and scoot attack. They know that they can't go for the direct confrontation with our forces. To avoid direct confrontation, so what they wanted to do, they lob a grenade in an act of cowardice, and then after that they fired few rounds and then they fled towards the nearby forest belt. And 5 of our soldiers were martyred. This is not first time when they have tried to destabilize peace in border belt of Poonch and Rajouri. If we talk about this Bataduria area, in the past also, this has been one of the transit points. The terrorists used to cross over from line of control. They used to settle down here, stay for 2 to 3 days, and after that they used to fan towards Kashmir Valley. And now see, there are 2-3 things. One is that G20 meeting is around the corner, because before G20 meeting they want to prove a point that all is not well in Jammu and Kashmir, and there is still tension, and they want basically to play a role of a spoil sport, because they can't see
play the role of a spoil sport. Well, viewers, G20 meeting in Kashmir upon us. Also, Bilawal Bhutto will be visiting in just a few days as part of the SCO deliberations. The SCO foreign ministers meet being held here in India. I want to bring in Maroof Raza for an overall perspective. Maroof, of course, viewers needs no introduction. Maroof Raza, we had intel. We had put out this story a few days back. Srinjoy Chowdhury had reported it in detail that there will be grenade attacks around the time of Eid. He had been told that specifically it could be a day or so after Eid, but this has turned out to be quite prescient of the intelligence agencies, because the timing is just about right, and the weapons that were used, grenades namely, correlate with the intelligence that was available, yet we've seen this. Now, what do you think is the motive here? Number one, obviously, it's to create problems, but the larger motive, and what should India's response be?
Well, Rahul, there are a lot of questions built into your question, but let me run through them point-wise. One is, I have noticed over the years that Srinjoy's intelligence is pretty much spot on. So as he had rightly predicted, that there was something in the offing, and it was also the view of many analysts that Pakistan has its deep state got a three-point agenda. One is, of course, to continue to show that Kashmir is not the right place to hold international gatherings because Pakistan has its own issues about the dispute over Kashmir. Secondly, the Pakistani deep state is trying to support the military's line that Pakistan's financial economic situation is something that the military cannot give concessions to allow Pakistan to turn around, such as taxing the military personnel, auditing the money that goes to them. Large chunk of the money goes to the economy, from the economy to Pakistan, so armed forces, and that is obviously a drain. And finally, and more importantly, is the fact that there are elements in Pakistan who want even visits like Bilawal Bhutto to be disrupted. Not that I expect any real bilateral breakthrough, because the Bhutto family has historically been a problem creator in India-Pakistan relations. Now, this particular attack, there are three issues that I want to bring out. I've been on that road several years ago, the Bimber Gully Poonch road. It's a narrow road, hillside road, very high density of foliage and forestry. And in rain, visibility becomes very poor because of fog. So any determined militant outfit of 2-3 people can easily cause this kind of damage, despite road opening patrols, which are there to guard a certain stretch of the road and on the periphery up to a certain amount of meters. But, shoulder-fired grenade launchers have a range of anything from 75 yards to 375 yards. And that's quite a bit of a distance. If you make an accurate hit on a vehicle, you can cause this kind of a disruption. Two, there was news earlier that about 4 officers had been killed. I find it hard to believe. Maybe one officer who may be leading as a convoy leader there, but there would be jawans who would be killed, but not that many officers. The army historically doesn't bundle in too many officers in one vehicle on such troublesome areas. Third, my view is that this problem should be dealt with tactically by commanders on the ground. We have counter responses in place. They hit us, we hit them. They target us, we can target them. So I expect in the next few days an Indian military response, which will not be of the scale like we did in Uri, but there would be a military response as we will hit at a place of choosing of our time.
Now, I just wanted to ask you, given the fact that, and Pradeep has been talking about the G20 meet and the heartburn that is causing Pakistan, and we've been seeing their reaction to the fact that India is holding a G20 meet in Jammu and Kashmir. There is also, of course, a visit lined up where perhaps for the first time in several years, you have a high-ranking official of the Pakistani government, in this case Bilawal Bhutto, the External Affairs Minister, coming in as part of the SCO deliberations on the 4th and 5th of May. Now, that dynamic becomes extremely crucial, because if this is a high-level exchange, there's going to be frostiness, and I suppose that the Indian government will feel obliged to pass on a message. So it's not going to be really a red carpet, is it?
No, but the red carpet will be there generally for all the dignitaries that will come. And Bilawal Bhutto would be a beneficiary of that. But please remember, Bilawal Bhutto carries the cross of the Bhutto family on his shoulder.
True.
And that gives him advantages and disadvantages. Secondly, I don't see him to be an experienced enough diplomat of the caliber of people like Sartaj Aziz, who can actually, in a very subtle way, get something moving in Pakistan's favor. It is not in our favor to bend backwards to accommodate them, but it is in their favor to try and suggest at least some kind of a cross-border trade deal, which will put less pressure on them and their economy with foodstuff from potatoes and various items like sugar that are often sent across from India in the past. And thirdly, Bilawal Bhutto's visit would not be given the kind of significance that bilateral meetings get between heads of government or heads of ministries. There will be an odd handshake here and there, but I wouldn't expect too much more, because please remember, after Musharraf did what he did in Kargil, there was an SCO meeting where he was there with Prime Minister Vajpayee ji in Central Asia, and there were no handshakes. They kept their distance. They both attended in their own part as heads of government, as SCO members.
Yes, so just hold your thoughts, because I want to hold up this report that Srinjoy Chowdhury had filed, viewers. Pakistan planning grenade attacks in J&K after Eid during G20 meet, sources. This was filed on April 17, just 3 days back. Srinjoy Chowdhury put this report out. There are many details in there. It is on your screens, viewers. Obviously, there was specific intelligence, and the report says the Pakistan Army's active support to terrorist organizations continues, and a recent case of, quote, supervision, unquote, involves the Colonel Sultan, a pseudonym of the ISI, the military intelligence wing of the army, conducting weekly meetings with various tanzeems, which is another word for outfits. The agenda? Question mark. Grenade attacks on specific targets in Jammu and Kashmir, killing after Eid, which is about 10 days away, and attacks in Srinagar around G20 meeting, intelligence sources said. The attacks are primarily to be aimed at security forces, political workers, and people who have come to the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir from other parts of India to work. Now, viewers, there is also a mention as to why grenades will be used, because the grenade attacks are logistically easier for the terrorists to carry out. It is easier to escape after the explosion. This is precisely what we have seen. Pradeep, I'll just bring in Srinjoy on this, and I want to come out to you for more inputs, as well as, of course, Maroof. Pradeep, very specifically, why in the initial phases was this called an accident, that vehicle somehow, burnt up? How did that confusion take place? Because for 3 hours, 4 hours, this is what was being spoken of, that there was a blaze.
See, Rahul, right now also while I'm talking to you, I'm right now sitting inside the vehicle, because reason being the weather here is very bad. And right now also there is a lightning and thunderstorm. So that time also there was a lightning and thunderstorm. Everybody felt that maybe all of a sudden, because for long such an attack has not taken place along the line of control. So that's one of the reasons that initially everybody thought that maybe because of the lightning that the ammunition that they were carrying must have caught fire. And this has led to this massive damage to the vehicle and led to the martyrdom of 5 of the soldiers. But later on, when they looked at the vehicle properly, they found that there were several bullet marks on the frontal portion, bullet marks on the rear. Even the petrol tank was hit by bullet marks. That clearly indicated that this was an ambush. They also recovered the knob of the grenade from that spot. That showed that they had lobbed a grenade that had caused fire. And now why this thing is happening? Because Rahul, if you look into the certain things that have happened in recent past, like we saw that how Kashmiris named and shamed Pakistan in United Nations. One girl, Taslima Akhtar, she was able to project the right picture about Kashmir, how things have really changed, how winds of change have started blowing after abrogation of Article 370. That had been really painful, and we saw that how Pakistani stooge, they tried to intimidate her, they tried to harass her. And finally, she was left with no other option but to write a letter to United Nations. How come such people are provided podium that they had been harassing? The second thing is that the G20 meeting, because they can't see all those foreign dignitaries coming, because all these years Pakistan had been saying that Kashmir is a dispute, and when the people will be coming out to this place after abrogation of Article 370, seeing normalcy, that is not palatable to them. They want to escalate situation here. They want to create trouble in this region. And third is that Kashmiris have rejected terror. They have rejected separatism. And that is, again, problematic for Pakistan.
This is an act of desperation, viewers, not uncharacteristic of Pakistan's strategy, which they have employed over the last few decades to try and destabilize Kashmir. Well, thanks indeed, Maroof Raza, Pradeep and Srinjoy Chowdhury. Srinjoy, of course, who got this absolutely right. His intelligence sources had tipped him off about a particular attack or a series of attacks, viewers, which would be launched via grenades by certain terror organizations. And he had reported this story 3 days ago. And that report, of course, is out there, and it appears that there was very credible evidence, actionable evidence, so to speak, to suggest that this was going to happen. Now, obviously, viewers, there's going to be an inquiry as we go along. The Army Chief has already briefed the Defence Minister. Alarm bells will be ringing across the sector, the defence sector right now, given the fact that there is a sensitive G20 meet up there, and the intel report also says that certain leaders might be targeted. Viewers, we move on.